Russia on Saturday pledged it would not invade mainland Ukraine following its seizure of Crimea. Tensions have run high since Moscow's lightning takeover of Crimea from the Ukraine, with the United States accusing Russia of massing tens of thousands of troops on Ukraine's eastern border. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry will hold talks with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in Paris, and this was on Sunday, in an impromptu meeting aimed at resolving the worst East-West crisis since the Cold War. For the latest and an analysis of the situation between Russia, the Ukraine and the Western countries, we're joined in studio now by Yarik Turasky, who is a program manager with the South African Research, I beg your pardon, at the South African Institute for International Affairs. Good to have you. Thanks very much for being with us, Yarik. We talk about Russia acting unlawfully. Is this the case?
Indeed. Look, you have a case of one sovereign state effectively invading another sovereign state and annexing a part of its territory. Essentially what happened is at the end of February, Russia sent in troops that did not have any insignia. They were equipped according to the latest military fashion. They had all the machine guns, all the Kalashnikovs that were necessary. But this is the modern world with social media. So it was quite easy to identify some of them and find out that they are in fact a part of the Russian army. Following that, there was armed takeover of the Crimean parliament. Crimea is, of course, an autonomous republic within Ukraine, so it's not quite a province. But let's say it's almost like a province with a higher status, in the sense that it cannot conduct its own international relations, but at the same time, it does have its own parliament, its own prime minister, and it does have considerable independence from the capital. Yeah. Following the takeover, a new prime minister whose party only received 4% of the vote at the last elections was put into power. He's seen as a marionette of Kremlin. And within 2 weeks, largely a sham referendum was held that is unconstitutional according to Ukrainian laws, and also highly dubious in terms of international law. And then following a turnout, the numbers of which were also disputed widely, Russia proceeded to annex Crimea and accept it as one of its new provinces in its federal structure. And of course, as you mentioned, the biggest fear now is that we have between 80 and 100,000 Russian troops, according to various estimates, on Ukraine's eastern borders. And the fears are that we might see either a repetition of the Crimean scenario in other provinces of Ukraine or an outright invasion. Even though the foreign minister of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, has already gone on record to say that there are no plans for an invasion of Ukraine, if we look at the record of the Russian government over the past month or so, we've seen a lot of difference between the rhetoric and their actions. So I would certainly not trust these words at this point in time.
I wish we had longer. We don't, unfortunately. This is almost the end of the interview. So I can't leave this without bringing South Africa into it, because we all know that we're all a part of BRICS, and Russia is a part of BRICS. What does this mean for South Africa? Are there any consequences for us?
You know, if you look at the vote in the United Nations General Assembly for support of the territorial integrity of Ukraine, 100 countries voted for. 58 abstained and 11 voted against. Now, all the BRICS countries, with the exception of Russia, were countries that abstained. So they're not quite supporting it because they're realizing that what Russia is doing is unlawful in terms of international law. But at the same time, they clearly do not want to upset such an important and strategic partner by voting for. For South Africa, in the short term, I would say no consequences. But in the medium to long term, depending on how the situation is going to go out, particularly with regard to the price of oil, there may be consequences.
We have to leave it there. Thank you. Short and sweet, but that's really telling us where South Africa stands and what's happening in Russia and Crimea and the Ukraine. Yarik Turasky. Okay, Turasky, I got it. Program manager at the South African Institute for International Affairs. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for watching. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you again.